Good morning, Andrea. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Friday the 13th. You are here on the Daily Huddle. And guess what, Andrea? You are being spared this morning. And what I have for you in the world is a quote from one of my favorite authors. Last night, I had the opportunity to be in a room called the Fox Theater with Eckhart Tolle. And what an amazing evening it was. I have to thank my dear friend and partner, Giovanni Gonzalez, for creating that opportunity for me. He's in Colombia and he says, Saurel, I've got one ticket and one ticket only, and it's tonight. And I moved everything and went. And this is just a snippet of what I got from this quote. Don't seek happiness. If you seek it, you won't find it, because seeking is the antithesis of happiness. Happiness is ever elusive, but freedom from unhappiness is attainable now by facing what is, rather than making up stories about it. Eckhart Tolle. Well, good morning. Again, good morning. Let's welcome to the room Miss Tara Heaton. And Tara, good morning. How are you? Hello there, Tara. Welcome to Friday the 13th. And so everyone, you know, when it comes to being in business, or being in family, wherever it is that you are committed, you know the actions to take or the actions not to take. You know the words to say or the words not to say. And you probably have, in that moment, all the resources you need to say or do, or don't say or don't do. And yet you don't take those actions or you don't say those words. Well, today's episode is about discovering what I'm calling loosely and with fun, the #1 often overlooked performance killer for small businesses. And you could say not just small business owners, but fathers, mothers, friends. So that's our exploration this morning. And before we dive into that, let's all get present. Well, Tara, where are you?
Good morning, Saurel. I am in one of my favorite places, right here. I am right here, right where I need to be.
Right here, right here. Thank you, Tara, and welcome. Andrea, what time is it?
Like Tara said, my favorite time right now.
Right now. What are you grateful for?
I'm actually grateful for studies. I've been getting a certification this week, so I'm grateful for brain power and studies, and that's what I'm grateful for.
Awesome. Great. Cece, are you here? How are you? And who are you going to hug today?
You talking to CC?
Yeah, I'm talking to you, Cece.
Hey, I am wonderful. So glad to be here with you guys. Thank you.
And who are you going to hug today, Cece?
I'm going to hug somebody unknown.
I love it. I love it. Cece, welcome. Stan, welcome. So, folks, let's dive right into this conversation about the #1 often overlooked performance killer for small business owners. It all began on a sunny day in Birmingham, Alabama. I was an engineer at a company called Bell South, and I was sitting in an office with my boss. You know, picture this, right? Big mahogany desk, big windows overlooking meadow with grass and flowers. And my boss is sitting across from me with the biggest smile on his face. I had been working with him for a year and a half, and he said to me, Saurel, I've got great news for you. And I looked at him with a sheepish smile on my face, and I said, what is it? He says, you're getting a promotion. You know, I could feel the excitement building. And then the next words out of his mouth were, it's in South Alabama, and you'll need to move your family to South Alabama. Now picture this. In my early 30s, what I wanted the most at the time was to get a promotion and to make more money. And what I also feared the most was anything and everything I had to do to get that.
Wow.
So, you know, picture this, right? Here he is sitting across the big mahogany desk from me. His excitement, his love, his commitment to my growth and development was way bigger than mine. And my answer to him, as I was trembling and searching for the words to say, present to that I should be grateful for the offer, but also present to how compelled I was in that moment to say, I need to think about it. So I told him, could you give me a couple of days to think about it? When in that moment, I also knew that the couple of days I was asking for, I didn't need, because the answer that was right there for me was no. No, the very opportunity that I so wanted, I was compelled to say no to. Now, that's my story. And as we unpeel this in the context of the #1 most overlooked performance killer for small business owners, I want you to bring it home to you as I unfold this whole thing, right? So there I am. I had this big promise, this big goal, this big wish to be a big shot in the corporate world. And that's how life is for most of us. Bring to mind right now the promises you've made, the goals you have, the wishes you've cherishing, the desires that are most important to you. And for me, it was to be promoted and make more money and to have status and to make my wife proud and to make my parents proud. Man, I was the first of the family to be in that kind of a corporate job, making that kind of money. And for everyone, the promises, the goals, the wishes, the desires you have, as it was for me, only require very simple actions, like taking the next step. For me, the simple action at that time was to pick up my bags, go to Susan and say, hey, Susan, guess what? We've got a great opportunity. We're moving to South Alabama. And then do what it takes to just make that move. I didn't make that move. And what I'm about to share with you, you know, I'm somewhat embarrassed and yeah, I've gotten over it. But recalling it now, it's like, gosh, that's the way it was for me. And I want to share today because what I'm calling the #1 performance killer for small businesses is exactly what was at play in that period of my life. So instead of taking the simple action of moving to South Alabama and facing whatever I had to face, guess what I did? I gave myself the permission to stop and not take the actions I knew to take or say the things I knew to say. Instead, this is what I said. 2 days later, I came back to my boss. Really, I mean, I knew I had the answer, right? Because it's the kind of answer when I'm giving myself the permission to stop and not take the actions I know to take or not say the things I need to say. I come up with a very good reason, one that is so valid that it's a trump card. No one, not even me, could refute that reason. This is what I said to my boss when I came back to him. I said, you know, I'm a real family man. And my family's doing so well right now. And taking that move to South Alabama would leave me not available for them. I want to spend as much time as I need to with my family. I want to be there for them. So for that reason, I'm declining the offer. I passed up that promotion. But what I didn't know at the time and what I can see now is that I used that reason to hide everything that was really there for me. I used that reason to hide what I already knew about me, what I already knew about him, what I already knew about them, what I already knew about the circumstances in South Alabama. So this is what I already knew about me. I already knew that I wouldn't measure up. I'd fail and be an embarrassment to my family and others. And there's what I already knew about others. I knew about him, about them, that they were setting me up to fail. And what I knew about the circumstances, being Haitian, being Black, what I knew about the circumstances is that, darn it, South Alabama is the last place a Black Haitian man needs to be to try to make it up the ladder in a corporate world. I knew all that. And I used the reason I gave him to validate all of that and justify my refusal to take a simple action to move my life forward. That's the way it rolls for a human being. And, I moved past that and I learned what I learned. And I'm here today sharing with you what I learned. What I also want you to know I did, in addition to enrolling my boss in the validity of my reason for saying no, guess what I did? I went to all of my closest friends. I went to my wife and my family members. I went to everybody. I wanted them to know me as this noble family man who would sacrifice a promotion so I could be a family man. And I never told anyone that I used that reason to validate what I already knew about me, what I already knew about others and them, what I already knew about the circumstances. And guess what? They all jumped on the bandwagon and ran with me, celebrated the fact that I was not moving to South Alabama. And so it was. And the lesson I learned and what I'm lucky to be practicing today are two things. So the number one, most often overlooked performance killer for small business owners is something really simple. It is simply the reasons I give myself, or if you're sitting there, the reasons you give yourself for not taking the actions you know to take or not to take and for not saying the words you know to say or not to say. And those reasons are so valid and so clear that they escape us as what's killing performance. And we use those reasons to validate what we already know. And we use those reasons to justify not taking the actions we know to take. So here's what I practiced today, because guess what? I still have a ton of reasons for not doing what I know to do. And the practice is to just simply recognize them as what they are, just reasons. They're the reasons I come up with to give myself the permission to not be great. And in that moment, I can practice being someone. I want you to remember this word. The word is unreasonable. And in the way we speak, to be unreasonable may sound crazy. So I'm not asking you to be a crazy person. I'm simply asking you to be someone who can see the reasons you create for yourself. So you can give yourself the permission not to take the actions you know to take or say the words you know to say. So be unreasonable. And in that moment of being unreasonable, something's available called being unstoppable. To be unstoppable is not to be anything other than an ordinary human being who musters up the courage to see the reasons, and then in the face of those reasons, take the actions you know to take, that were there to take anyway. And when you take those actions, you'll experience being unstoppable. So before I open it up for questions, and I want to hear your reactions for every one of you, I bet you it looks like this. There are the big promises you make, and the bigger the promises, I guarantee you, the simpler the actions. And the simpler the actions, the bigger the promises, guess what? The bigger the reasons you'll come up with not to do or not to say. And you might catch yourself walking all over the world, adding membership, and getting others to validate your reasons with you, and getting others to help you justify not taking actions. And when you catch that, what's available to you is the opportunity to be unstoppable by simply taking the actions you know to take. And do that over and over. You will create for yourself a reliable access to being someone who moment by moment overcomes what I call the number one, most often overlooked performance killer for small business owners. So I want to open it up for questions. Cece, you've got your hand up. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, this is awesome, Saurel. Thank you so much. I too have had many reasons, and I've enrolled many people in with them. So I'm confessing that I made excuses and reasons for not doing what I was supposed to do in life, and doing all these different projects and never finishing one. So these promises that I broke into myself, it was self-inflicted. And when you started sharing, it just made me think. And so today, I'm gonna start working on one project, finish it, and then go on to the next one, because I have been all over the place, doing this, doing that, 5 things at one time. That's crazy. thinking, and I'm not the only one, so it's okay. I'm getting out of that. And thank you so much for this daily huddle and for being so transparent, because I have enrolled in a lot of people with my stories. And today it has got to stop. So I pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Cece. Thank you for engaging and connecting for yourself. Go ahead, Stan.
Boy, Saurel, I just want to thank you, man. That's a really, really deep level of self reflection, of introspection. And I mean, I got something really, really deep out of that, because that is very, very, very deep. I understood. It was taking me a little while to kind of understand what was really the meaning, but you said it well, and I believe I got it. That when we identify those reasons why we're not going to take action, and then we go ahead and take the action in spite of having identified the good reason, we are unstoppable, because it is choosing that reason that stops us. So when we don't choose that reason, we're unstoppable. I get it. Am I right?
You are unstoppable, Stan. You are unstoppable.
That is absolutely amazing, Lord. I'm gonna definitely be thinking about that more, because I know I've done that so many times in my life, and I'm doing it now in many ways.
Yeah.
But thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you, Stan. You know, when we ask the question, how are you? And you say, I'm unstoppable, that actually means something very real now. You are unstoppable. Good morning, Tara.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I am so glad that I have been here with you all this morning. I will take this message with me for a long time. And always remember your very, very vulnerable story about finally being honest with yourself. And I just want to say for a moment what it makes me think of. And, you know, I've been in the sales world for most of my career, feels like all my life. And there's a strategy in sales where you want to try to find the reason behind the reason when you're trying to close a sale. And someone will give you the objective, like it's too expensive. But when you go 2 steps deeper, you find the real reason. And what you're sharing is we have to put that same strategy on ourselves. Like it's almost like a relationship with ourselves, to ask ourselves and challenge ourselves. Are you just speaking what sounds good to everybody else? Are you just speaking what would be the obvious moral reason? Or are you really asking yourself to put your ego out of the way and what is really standing in your way? And so I want to thank you for that. And I will take this with me for a very long time.
Tara, thank you for taking that with you. And thank you for, I hear you promising that you're going to spread it too, like, you know, pay it forward, give it to somebody else. As we do, that's what the Daily Huddle is about.
And in this message, I think part of doing that is modeling it, because it's not easy to do. And then sharing it forward, just like you said. Yes. So yeah. I have told my friends who know how much I love the Daily Huddle, I get so much more from it than I ever give. And this is a perfect example of that today.
Thank you, Tara. Good morning, Ronald.
Hey, you know what? I just laugh, and I could see the light in Stan when Stan really get it, you know. And that's why I say I have to raise my hand to say this, because you see, Saurel, you went through what you said, which really clean. But when Stan got it, I got it, and that's why I'm really want to say about it. Stan just it's almost like, I mean, I don't know, you know, through the screen, to the computer, you know, I could see a light pop for Stan. And then I say, damn, he got it for real. And then when I realized that he got it, I got it. You know, it is this time where you could really find all the reason for not to do something. And once you really just say, those reasons that I'm finding are really rooted in past experience. And when you could actually clear that up, you take a moment to clear your mind of that reason, you will see a whole new reason to really get what you think you weren't able to do. So I totally get it, man. Thanks for bringing that conversation. In fact, I found myself talking to a friend of mine the other day and telling him how unreasonable that he needs to be in order to jump a huddle that he's got going on. So I use the word, but like the lighting up today is definitely a great conversation. Thanks for bringing it in.
Thank you for participating. So before we end the day, I'd love someone to volunteer to spend 2 minutes with me to actually make it real. Because I'll tell you what, I'm a smart rat. And everybody who's listening, whether you're here, whether you're on Facebook, we're all smart rats, right? And to bring it home and make it something other than being conceptual, I'd love to spend 2 minutes with one of you.
Can they
Andrea, you're it. So Andrea, name a big promise or big goal or big wish or desire you have. The first thing that comes to mind. We got 2 minutes.
Minimize suffering.
Huh?
Minimize suffering. It's my mission.
Minimizing suffering. That's a big goal, right? And what are the simple actions you see to take that you already know to take, or the things you need to say that you already know to say that maybe you're not saying or not doing?
That maybe I'm not saying or doing. Sorry, this is difficult. Well, that I'm not saying in regards to minimizing suffering, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm vegan. That helps minimize suffering of animals, I guess. Not saying that. I am a project coach and I help minimize the suffering of people that are stuck. What else I don't say that
Now,
I'm helping minimizing?
In the world of minimizing suffering for yourself, where are you stopped?
You mean I'm not following that. You mean?
You say you want to minimize suffering,
Mm-hmm.
and there could be places in your life where you're not doing that.
Got it.
So where are you stopped?
My business, actually. If I want to help people, I'm stopping bringing that mission into my business.
Absolutely, right? So let's stay there. Just look, the actions to take, the things to say, the people to enroll, you already know all that, yet you're not taking those actions. And the last thing we'll say, what is the reason you see that you use to give yourself the permission to not grow your business the way you know to?
Pure fear.
You say you're afraid, and yet there's something you say, I'm afraid. Maybe that's just a reason you're using.
It's just, reason or an excuse, perhaps.
Yeah. And if you took that for what it is, just a reason, you could actually be unstoppable right now.
Yeah.
And what's an action you see to take to move in that direction? Like right now, what's an action you haven't taken that you could take right now?
Letting go projects that are not aligned with minimizing suffering.
Oh, how about that? Make
If
a list right
aligned,
now. Make a list right now and go do that right now, today. And, so in real life and practice, that's what it looks like to be unreasonable and unstoppable. This is not something for us to learn, so we have more knowledge. This is a practice, the practice of high-performing business owners, that of being unreasonable and unstoppable. So, gang, this is our daily huddle for today. My good friend Giovanni Gonzalez, who is not here with us, is in Colombia. He is my co-host and the co-founder of the Daily Huddle. The Daily Huddle stands and rests on the shoulders of many, many, the hosts of each of the days. We're here with you Monday through Friday. So my invitation to you today is to be unreasonable and unstoppable when it comes to loving, stressing less, eating, mostly plant-based, and giving and sleeping and moving. Take great care of yourselves. Have a phenomenal weekend. Join us on Monday with Alvin Darian for Money Matters. This is your Daily Huddle for Friday the 13th. Love you. Until Monday.
Peace.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you, Saurel.
See you Monday.
Bye-bye.
Saurel, thank
Great
you,
night.
everyone.
Saurel.
Take care.
Thank you, Saurel and everyone. Bye now.